Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you've ever felt your chest tighten when a woman pulls away, or noticed silence hit harder than rejection, stay with me, because what you're about to hear will challenge everything you've been told about attraction, power, and desire. Before we go any further, take a second to like this video and subscribe, because what we talk about here isn't comfortable, but it is necessary, and you'll want reminders like this if you're serious about becoming emotionally grounded and deeply magnetic. I'm speaking to you not as a flirt coach, not as a hype voice, but as a female psychologist who has listened to thousands of women explain in private what actually makes them feel drawn toward a man. And here's the truth most men never hear. Desire is not triggered by clever lines. It's triggered by emotional safety mixed with self-respect. The phrases I'm about to unpack are forbidden, not because they're manipulative, but because insecure men are afraid to say them. These words don't chase, they don't beg, they don't perform. They reveal a man who is calm inside himself. The first phrase that quietly rewires attraction is this: I'm okay either way. When spoken honestly, without sarcasm or threat, it does something profound. It tells her you are not hinging your worth on her reaction. Women feel desire when they sense emotional steadiness, not neediness disguised as confidence. This phrase creates space, and in that space, curiosity grows. Notice what this does psychologically. You're not withdrawing affection. You're not testing her. You're simply stating emotional independence. To a woman, this feels like standing near a fire that doesn't burn her if she steps closer. It's warm, it's controlled, it's rare. Most men think desire comes from pressure or intensity. In reality, it comes from relief. Relief from being responsible for your happiness. Relief from managing your emotions. When you say, I'm okay either way, you communicate that you can enjoy her presence without trying to own it. If this makes you uncomfortable, that discomfort is important. It means you're used to performing for validation, and the shift we're starting today is moving you from performance to presence. Desire follows presence every single time. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want you to notice something uncomfortable about desire. Women do not respond to force, persistence, or impressive speeches. They respond to emotional leadership, and leadership begins with boundaries expressed calmly. The second forbidden phrase is simple, quiet, and incredibly powerful when said without anger. That doesn't work for me. Most men are terrified of this sentence because they believe attraction comes from accommodation. They overextend, overexplain, and overgive, hoping she will finally choose them. But when you say, that doesn't work for me, you are not rejecting her. You are revealing yourself. You are showing that your needs exist and that you respect them enough to voice them without drama. From a psychological standpoint, this phrase activates polarity. It separates you from the mass of men who collapse their preferences the moment they fear loss. Women don't desire men who mold themselves to avoid conflict. They desire men who can stay emotionally present while holding a line. This sentence does exactly that. Notice the tone matters more than the words. Said with irritation, it repels. Said with calm certainty, it creates safety. Safety is not softness. Safety is predictability. When a woman hears you state a boundary without punishment or pleading, her nervous system relaxes. And when it relaxes, attraction has room to breathe. Here's the deeper truth most men miss. Boundaries are not about controlling her behavior. They are about clarifying yours. You are not saying, change so I can like you. You are saying, this is where I stand. That self-definition is deeply attractive because it signals maturity. Many women grew up around emotional chaos, inconsistency, men who exploded or disappeared. When you calmly state, that doesn't work for me, you separate yourself from that history. You become emotionally legible, and legibility builds trust faster than charm ever could. If you feel fear rising at the idea of losing her by saying this, that fear is the work. Desire never grows where fear leads. It grows where self-respect lives. And self-respect, expressed gently, is one of the most magnetic traits a man can develop. Remember, this phrase is not a tactic, but a mirror. It reflects how you treat yourself when no one is watching. And women sense that instantly, even if they cannot explain it consciously. That quiet awareness is where genuine desire quietly begins and grows over time. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. There's a moment in every connection where a woman is watching not what you say, but how you hold uncertainty. That's where the third forbidden phrase lives, and most men avoid it because it feels risky. The phrase is this: take your time. Said sincerely, it does something that pressure never can. It invites desire instead of demanding it. Psychologically, this sentence communicates abundance without bragging. You're not rushing her decision, her feelings, or the pace of connection. And here's what women rarely say out loud. Being rushed shuts desire down faster than rejection ever could. When you say, take your time, you remove the invisible clock that so many men place on women without realizing it. This phrase works because it signals emotional confidence. You're not anxious about where this is going. You're not trying to lock anything in. You're grounded in the present. That groundedness is attractive because it suggests you'll still be steady tomorrow, next week, and next month. Consistency is erotic to a nervous system that's tired of volatility. Many men fear this sentence because they think it gives away power. In reality, it reveals power. Power is not urgency. Power is patience. When a woman senses that you are not trying to extract something from her, attention, reassurance, commitment, she relaxes into curiosity. And curiosity is the doorway to desire. There's another layer here. Take your time also communicates respect for her internal world. It says you understand that attraction is not a switch but a process. Women feel safest with men who respect their emotional timing, not men who try to override it with charm or persistence. If you've ever wondered why being nice didn't work, this is why. Niceness often hides impatience. It's transactional. This phrase has no transaction embedded in it. You're not saying it to get something later. You're saying it because you genuinely trust yourself enough to wait. And paradoxically, when you stop chasing momentum, momentum finds you. Desire grows in the space where a woman feels free, not cornered. When you offer time instead of pressure, you separate yourself from the noise of men who are always in a hurry to be chosen. If saying this feels like losing control, understand this. Control is the opposite of attraction. Calm allowance is what creates it. Take your time is not passive, it's poised. And that poise, quiet and unforced, is one of the most underestimated triggers of genuine desire. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. There is a sentence that instantly separates emotionally secure men from men who are still bargaining for approval. It's uncomfortable because it removes the mask. The fourth forbidden phrase is this: I don't need to convince you. When spoken calmly, without edge or withdrawal, it shifts the entire emotional frame. Most men believe attraction is something they must earn through persuasion. They explain more, justify themselves, stack reasons, and unknowingly place the woman in the position of judge. That dynamic kills desire. When you say, I don't need to convince you, you are stepping out of the courtroom. You are no longer auditioning. You are simply present. From a psychological angle, this phrase communicates self-validation. You already believe in your value. You are not asking her to certify it. Women feel drawn to men who have an internal anchor because it signals emotional adulthood. An adult nervous system does not beg to be seen. It allows itself to be seen. Here's the key distinction that keeps this phrase within respect, not arrogance. You are not saying you're wrong. You are not dismissing her feelings. You are saying, I trust that if this resonates, it will happen naturally. That trust removes pressure, and pressure is the enemy of desire. Many women have experienced men who argue their worth when faced with hesitation. Those men escalate emotionally. They push. They explain harder. When you don't do that, you become unfamiliar in the best way. Your restraint creates contrast, and contrast creates intrigue. This phrase also communicates something deeper: emotional self-containment. You are capable of holding your emotions without outsourcing regulation to her response. That steadiness feels safe, and safety is not boring when it comes from strength. Safety becomes magnetic when it's paired with clarity. If you feel fear at the thought of her walking away after you say this, that fear reveals where you've been placing your power. Desire cannot grow where self-abandonment exists. and convincing is a form of self-abandonment disguised as effort. I don't need to convince you is not about indifference, it's about trust in yourself, in timing, and in mutual choice. Women don't want to be persuaded into attraction. They want to arrive there on their own and discover a man who was already standing solid when they got there. When you release the need to be chosen, you become choosable. Not because you're withholding, but because you're whole. And wholeness, quietly expressed, is one of the rarest and most desirable signals a man can send. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. There's a phrase that terrifies most men, not because it's aggressive, but because it exposes vulnerability without weakness. The fifth forbidden phrase is, "I feel that too." On the surface, it seems simple, almost mundane, yet when used correctly, it becomes a bridge of emotional intimacy that few men can wield without fear. Here's the truth. Women are constantly scanning for emotional resonance, not sympathy, not pity, not agreement that feels performative, but genuine alignment. When you say, "I feel that too" with authenticity, you are signaling that you are not detached and you are not performing. You are present. And presence, more than any pickup line or grand gesture, creates attraction. Most men avoid this because they equate vulnerability with weakness. They believe desire comes from being untouchable or invincible. The reality is far from it. Emotional resonance, expressed with calm confidence, triggers a subtle but intense attraction. It reassures her that she is understood without being manipulated. The psychological mechanism behind this is fascinating. When a woman senses that you understand her feelings, her nervous system registers safety. Safety doesn't mean comfort. It means her brain relaxes enough to explore curiosity and intimacy. Desire cannot flourish in tension that stems from misunderstanding or emotional isolation. Importantly, this phrase is not an invitation to overshare or dramatize. It's a quiet acknowledgement. You are not drowning in emotion. You are reflecting it with control. That reflection builds a sense of emotional partnership, something most women crave, even if they can't articulate it. Here's the subtle magic. It balances polarity. A man who is emotionally aligned yet maintains his self-composed presence creates tension that is magnetic. You are close enough to connect, distant enough to remain captivating. Most men fail because they either disappear emotionally or smother connection with overexposure. This is where desire begins to amplify. Women are drawn to men who can validate without capitulating, who can mirror without losing themselves. "I feel that too" achieves both. It communicates empathy, maturity, and confidence simultaneously. If this feels counterintuitive, that's because traditional dating advice has conditioned men to believe that mystery and aloofness are the ultimate triggers. In truth, resonance is rare, and rarity breeds fascination. When you master this phrase, you are no longer just another man trying to impress. You become a man whose emotional presence invites her to lean in naturally, willingly, and repeatedly. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Now we're entering a level most men never reach because it requires both courage and calm. The phrase that follows is less about words and more about presence. "I'm not afraid of you." Simple, direct, and terrifying to the ego of a man who confuses dominance with control, but profoundly magnetic to a woman who senses emotional clarity. Most men interpret attraction as something to be earned through charm, gift-giving, or persistence. They fear her judgment, they anticipate rejection, and they perform behaviors that signal need. But when you say, "I'm not afraid of you," you signal that you are emotionally whole. You are not trying to please, you are not trying to manipulate, you are simply existing with integrity, and integrity, more than charm, triggers desire. Here's why this works. Women, consciously or not, test the men they feel attracted to, not with games, but with energy. When a man flinches, becomes defensive, or folds to subtle power plays, attraction diminishes. But when you are unshakable, even in tension, curiosity and fascination intensify. This phrase communicates that unshakable presence. Psychologically, it taps into what is called polarity. Polarity is the magnetic charge between emotional strength and emotional receptivity. A man who is afraid creates instability. A man who is unafraid provides the tension that is irresistible. That tension is not aggressive. It is confident, calm, and grounded. It's critical to note that this is not about dominance or confrontation. "I'm not afraid of you" is not a challenge or a threat. It's an invitation for authentic interaction. It signals that you can navigate intensity without losing your composure, and women are subconsciously drawn to that competence because it promises safety and excitement simultaneously. Many men resist this phrase because it confronts their insecurities. They fear that showing fearlessness might push her away. But attraction doesn't grow from fear. It grows from security, self-possession, and emotional clarity. When you embody these qualities, words become amplifiers, not crutches. Think of it like this: desire thrives where authenticity meets confidence. "I'm not afraid of you" is the verbal expression of that principle. It separates men who perform for approval from men who live from presence. And presence, calm yet firm, is magnetic in ways that chasing, explaining, or performing never can be. This phrase shifts the energy from negotiation to resonance. And resonance, my friend, is where women don't just like you. They desire you. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. By now you may be feeling a subtle shift, a mixture of curiosity and unease. That's good. Desire isn't comfortable. It's electric, unpredictable, and deeply psychological. The next forbidden phrase is one most men are terrified to use because it exposes truth without apology. "I won't settle." Here's why this is powerful. Most men approach dating as a negotiation. They soften their standards, they overcompensate, they chase validation. Women can sense it immediately. It triggers a subconscious alarm, neediness. But when you say "I won't settle," you're not threatening her. You're revealing that your self-worth is non-negotiable. That quiet conviction communicates confidence and emotional integrity in a way that charm cannot replicate. Psychologically, women are drawn to men who demonstrate self-respect. Not arrogance, not aggression, but self-respect. This phrase instantly communicates that you have boundaries, you have standards, and you will not compromise who you are for temporary approval. That energy creates tension, and tension is the heartbeat of desire. Many men fear that saying this might make them appear too picky or unavailable. In truth, it does the opposite. It separates you from the crowd of men who cling, who explain, who perform. When you operate from clarity rather than desperation, women notice. They are drawn to certainty because it contrasts with the uncertainty that dominates most relationships. Here's another layer most men miss. "I won't settle" is not about rejecting her. It's about rejecting mediocrity in yourself. Women sense when a man's standards are rooted in fear and when they are rooted in authenticity. The latter is magnetic, the former repulsive. This phrase signals the difference instantly. Notice the emotional effect. When spoken calmly, without justification, it generates intrigue. You are not asking for approval. You are living it. That emotional steadiness is rare, and rarity amplifies attraction. Women are naturally curious about men who exist fully on their own terms. The beauty of this phrase is in its subtlety. It's not loud, it's not performative, it's a quiet assertion of value that resonates at a deep psychological level. When combined with presence, patience, and emotional clarity, the other phrases we've discussed, you become a man who doesn't just attract attention, but cultivates genuine desire. This is the turning point where men stop chasing and start being chosen. "I won't settle" crystallizes your inner strength and communicates it effortlessly, drawing women not because you convince them, but because your energy invites them to lean in. Desire is rarely verbal, but this phrase speaks volumes without demanding anything in return. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. We've reached the point where these phrases begin to weave together into a force that is rare, magnetic, and undeniable. If you've followed closely, you've seen a pattern. Each phrase is less about tactics and more about emotional truth. And the ultimate secret to desire is this: consistency. The forbidden phrases only work when your presence aligns with them naturally. Let's tie them together. "I'm okay either way." That doesn't work for me. Take your time. I don't need to convince you. I feel that too. I'm not afraid of you, and I won't settle. These phrases, when spoken authentically, communicate one underlying truth. You are emotionally grounded. You are not desperate. You are not performing, and you are not defined by her response. That stability triggers attraction in ways superficial techniques never can. Here's the psychological reality most men never learn. Desire grows in tension created by independence, empathy, and clarity. Women are not drawn to men who chase. They are drawn to men who live fully, who communicate truth without manipulation, and who maintain presence even when outcomes are uncertain. Each forbidden phrase we discussed cultivates that polarity, the push-pull between engagement and self-possession that is irresistible at a subconscious level. It is crucial to understand that these phrases do not guarantee immediate results. They are not magic lines to recite. They are signals, markers of an inner state that must exist first. If you say them while anxious, performative, or needy, they will backfire. Desire is activated by authenticity, not cleverness. And authenticity cannot be faked. It is lived. When a man masters these expressions, he stops reacting to women and starts inviting connection on his terms. He communicates boundaries, emotional literacy, patience, and self-respect. And paradoxically, this creates attraction because it mirrors what most women secretly crave: a man who is steady, safe, and alive in his own power. So if you feel a pull, a subtle discomfort, or a spark of curiosity as you listen, that is your growth edge. Lean into it. Practice these phrases quietly in your daily life. Let them become reflections of your internal state, not scripts. Over time, your presence will begin to communicate what words alone cannot. Desire, at its deepest level, is a reflection of who you are when you are unafraid to be yourself. And the man who embodies this, calm, grounded, and emotionally articulate, does not chase. He is chosen. He is remembered. He is desired. That is the power of these forbidden phrases, and that is the truth that most men will never hear, never master, and never experience unless they dare to step into it fully. You now have the blueprint. The question is, will you live it?